Hello, I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Jennifer Crispin. I'm a librarian in the Northeast College, which means I'm mostly at the Northline campus and the Codwell Library on the Northeast campus. And welcome to the Library Databases webinar. While I'm doing the webinar, I am going to have you guys say things in the chat. So make sure you are able to access the chat function. If you're not able to access the chat function, that's okay. You can also unmute your microphone and speak, but sometimes that ends up with us talking over each other, and it's just sounds better if we're working in the chat. I am recording this, and after the recording is done, which will be sometime tomorrow, I'll be doing some light edits, and then I'll send you a link so that you can watch the recording again. So in today's webinar, we're going to be talking about first what a library database is. We'll talk about some of the features that our library databases have, how you can search the databases, and we'll be doing some practice exercises and a little bit of workshopping. So if you have a project that you're working on that you need to do research for, go ahead and think about it, because at some point I'm going to ask you to give me a topic, and we can actually go through and show in real life how I would go through the databases to find information about your specific topic. If you are not working on a project right now, you can also ask about something you have a personal interest in. So first of all, what is a library database? A, a database is a collection of information which is organized in categories that is easy to maintain and retrieve. So you're probably interacting with databases a lot during the day without necessarily thinking about them as databases. So if you use any kind of social media like TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, all of the information that is in those media is stored in databases and then retrieved. So a library database is a special type of database that focuses on information that people are likely to need for research purposes mostly, or for literacy purposes, that type of thing. Sometimes people wonder why they should bother with library databases, because they can be a little bit more complicated than just doing an internet search. But one of the things that library databases provide is items that otherwise you would have to pay money to access. So things like current scholarly books, peer-reviewed journal articles, curated information, news archives. Those are things that if you find them on the what I call the free internet, you would actually end up having to pay to access them. Because you're an HCC student, though, you have access to a lot of information through the library databases that you would not be able to find or access on the internet. That's not to say that the internet does not have good information. The internet's a great place to go if you're looking for breaking news, or if you're looking for specific personal views, or some types of commentary or niche information, or government information, which is already paid for through taxes. So you would have free access to a lot of government information. And I will be demonstrating several library databases in a few minutes, but I like to do this introduction to let you know what we're all talking about. So the HCC library actually has 286 databases, and this is a wide variety of databases. Some are very specific, some are very general, as I'll say a little bit later. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're always available unless there's technical difficulties. And librarians are available to help you during the times that the HCC libraries are open. And I can show you how to find the hours for the libraries if you need to know that. And then we also have some chat hours on Sundays from noon to 6. I will review that again when we go to the website to look at the databases. We have several varieties of access to databases, to information in our databases. Some databases have citations only, which means that they will tell you what we call bibliographic information about the item, things like the author, the title, the publication information, but won't necessarily have the item itself, the article, the map, the picture. but it will give you enough information that if you have time, you can go find it perhaps from another library database or from someone else. These types of databases are really useful for people who have more time to do their projects. For college students, I tend to say you would want to go for a full text database, which I will talk about in just a minute. A second type of access that we have in databases is citations and abstracts. So an abstract is a short summary of the item, which may include information about how a study was conducted. It's pretty important to read the abstracts if you have access to them, because for some assignments you have, you might be told to look at an article that is about, say, a scientific experiment. An abstract will tell you whether the article is about a scientific experiment. So they're useful information to have. But of course, the one that will probably serve your purposes the best is what we call the full text databases, or databases with full text items in it. And the full text usually includes a citation and an abstract, but also includes the item itself. And a lot of our databases are a mix of both citations and abstracts and full text, but we have ways to filter or limit what you get when you're searching so that you can look only at items that you actually have access to right now. Now, remember, as I talk, this is all just an introduction to the databases. And when I actually get to doing the demonstration, hopefully these will all begin to make more sense as I talk about them. When I say item, I am talking about any resource for which there's information. And that includes peer-reviewed academic articles, which are also called scholarly articles or scholarly journal articles. As I said earlier, databases can be very general or they can be very specific. For example, we have Academic Search Complete, which is a huge variety of information. But then on the other side, we have Small Motor Repair Database. So we have a wide variety of types of information. But this is good because this means that when you have a specific topic or a specific area you're interested in, you can go to a specific database. But if you have something that you don't know a lot about and you want to learn more about, you can go to a more general database. So now a little introduction to search terms. And bear with me here because when I demonstrate it, it will make more sense. But again, this part is just an introduction. So we have two ways that we talk about when we're talking about searching databases. There is keyword searching and there is subject searching. Do either of these terms mean anything to you yet? So keyword searching is what we call natural language. So these are the words that you would naturally think about when you think of a topic. They are the default for most databases. That type of search is the default for most databases, and they are the most flexible. So if you don't know a lot about a topic, but you know a keyword or two, it will at least give you a place to start when you're doing your searching. Subject searching, when we talk about it in libraries and in databases, we are talking about a specific controlled vocabulary. And that's where researchers and librarians and experts have worked together to pick specific words to describe certain things. So when you're doing a subject search, you have to use the exact word that experts have agreed on. This type of searching is not offered by some of our databases. They just prefer for people to just keyword search everything. But when you do have access to it and you do know which terms to use, it can be very efficient and precise. And depending on what example topics that you give me when I'm doing the demonstrations, I might be able to show you subject searching versus keyword searching. One of the things that I recommend when you are searching is to keep some kind of list or log of where you've searched, what your database is called, what search terms you've tried, and how you feel about the results. Sometimes people can just remember this, but if you're doing, say an article, a paper for psychology class and it's 3 weeks of research and maybe they want an annotated bibliography, you're going to want to keep track of what you've done because you might not be able to get all the searching done in one session. So I suggest at a minimum the database name, what search terms you used, and the quality of your results. Now, one of the things that you might see here on my screen, and also when I do my demonstration, is that for library databases, when you're searching, coming up with your search terms, we don't ask questions. We use, like I said, keywords or subject searches, and then it's just like here, it's blood pressure medicine medication rather than what are some of the side effects of blood pressure medication. That would not be as an efficient of a search for a library database as simply blood pressure medication. Again, I'll be demonstrating that in a minute. Not this particular search unless one of you wants to see it, but something similar. So now we are about to start the demonstration part of this webinar. Tell me about a topic that you're working on. You can type it into chat. And then I will talk about how I would choose and search databases specific to that topic. And then I also have some backup topics if you can't think of anything. But if you are currently working on a project or a paper, I will be happy to use that as an example. Okay, we have one person who's not working on anything at the moment. Is there anything in particular that you might be interested in seeing me search for? So if all of you are not working on anything, and I have not heard from one of you yet, I'm going to show you, let's see. So I see people are not actively working on a project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one of my favorite databases for practicing using databases. Before I do that though, I just want to let you know, when you are not on campus, you will need to log on to library websites through the HCC libraries, and your login will be your W number and your usual HCC password. So now I'm going to go through getting to the library databases and searching them. I can do this very detailed. If you are already familiar with searching library databases, can you just type yes in the chat? But if you are not familiar with searching library databases, go ahead and type no. 3 no's, that's good, because I want to make sure I'm not going into too much detail. So I have switched over. You should be seeing the HCC homepage. I'm going to click on My Eagle Student Sign In at the top left of the page. You are probably already familiar with this page with all the blocks on it. You can actually rearrange these blocks how you like them. Currently, the library block is in the 3rd row. So when I click on that, it takes me to the library page, and there is a lot of information here. First, there is this Eagle Library Search. That is a search that searches many of our databases at the same time. And it does have times that it's useful, but it's not always the most efficient way to find information about a topic if you already have a pretty good idea of what you're looking for. I want to show you a couple other things about this page before I go to the database list. You might have noticed that down in the bottom right, this box popped up that said Ask a Librarian and Do you need any help? That is our library chat. And if you click chat now and you type a question in there, there will be an HCC librarian who will answer you and try to answer your question. This chat is available whenever HCC libraries are open. It opens about 15 minutes after we open in the morning and closes about 15 minutes before we close in the evening. It is also available on Sundays from noon to 6, even though none of the library locations are open on Sundays. If you ever need to find out what the library hours are, you can click on Locations and Hours, and you can see various locations that we have. And so right now I am at the Codwell Campus Library on the Northeast Campus. And if you click on the library website, you can see information about the library. So below this map with the library search and the locations and hours information, which actually leads to a slightly different looking page. This is where you can see the library hours for the entire week. And that button I just clicked on was the one that says location and hours on the right side of that bar with the map on the background. So just below that, we have a link that says databases. That is where I go to see a list of all of our databases. Because nobody has a topic that they're working on right now, I'm going to show you the hobbies and crafts source, which, as I said, is one of my favorite databases. I don't know if any of you are crafters, but getting information about crafting is very, very expensive. If you're not crafters and you happen to go to a bookstore or a store and you see a magazine about crafting, look at the price. Some of them cost, $10, $15 a month. So I'm going to click H, and that gets me to hobbies and crafts, or it will as I scroll down. I'm going to show you the old view for this database. This view is about to change, so don't get too used to it. The new change will have a lot of the same features. It'll just look a little bit different. So in this hobbies and crafts source, I can search for a hobby that I'm interested in. Does anyone have a hobby they want me to search for? Drawing. Okay. I see. Oh, we have a sewer here. You will especially like this one because sewing magazines are very expensive. I'm going to start with the search of drawing, but I think we'll have time to look at all three topics that you suggested. And you'll notice as I search, it actually suggests different potential searches. So if I wanted to, I could choose drawings or illustrations or pictures or images. But because I'm looking at drawing as a hobby and rather than a drawing as a piece of paper with something on it, I'm just going to click drawing and enter. And so I'm slowly scrolling to see what kind of articles are available for me. See, here's a drawing techniques, number 10. I can click on it, and this page gives me a lot of information about what's in the article. These subjects that are underlined, when I talk about the subject search versus the keyword search, this is what I mean, drawing and drawing techniques. I used drawing as a keyword earlier, but now I could click drawing and it would take me into a subject search. Some of the things I want to show you, I was talking earlier about how I'm going to talk about some of the really cool features of our library databases, is that our databases often include ways for you to send something to your Google Drive or to your OneDrive. You have a way to cite it. So if you're working on something for school that you have to cite, you can click on that and it gives you a bunch of different citations in all sorts of styles. So we have APA style, Chicago style, MLA style, and I listed those three because those are the three you're most likely to see at HCC, though you could see others as well. You also have a way to export it, and you can create a permanent link, which means you can click on right next to where it says permalink. So not at the navigation bar at the top, but where it says permalink, if you copy and paste that, it will take you right back to this page. Of course, if you're off campus, it will probably have you log in with your W number and password before you get there. But the coolest thing about this database is I'm going to come over here to the left and click PDF full text. And it shows me this article exactly how it looked in its original magazine or book in Giovanni Civardi's Complete Guide to Drawing. So I just closed that PDF that I was just looking at. Now I'm going to click on Drawing Techniques in the subject list. And so these 252 search results are all going to be ones that experts have said fit into the category of drawing techniques. And I'll show that same idea when I demonstrate sewing and writing as well. All right, so I am right here at the top of the page. We've looked at drawing. I can do the basic, I can click basic search. That takes me back to the original page to search this database. One of the things you're going to notice as you use more HCC databases, and if we have time, I'll also show this, is that we have several major vendors of databases. So those are companies that have a large amount of databases that they own and that they sort of rent out to us. EBSCOhost is one of our database owners. A lot of times people will think they're searching EBSCOhost when what they're actually searching is, say, hobbies and crafts source. So let me just circle that. So the database you're searching is hobbies and crafts source, not EBSCOhost. So now let us do sewing. Again, I'm going to go very vague with this, partly because this is a hobby, so it's okay for it to be very vague. You can just look and see if you like what comes up. So with this one, you have ways to make money with sewing. Oh, how to make a sewing room. Of course, this makes me wonder because one of the subjects is cross stitch. I'll show you that. Because one of the subjects for Create a Classic Sewing Room is cross stitch. Now I'm wondering, is that building a sewing room or making a cross stitch of a picture of a sewing room? So let me click on that and see what that is. Interesting. So I gather from reading the abstract, remember when I was talking about the abstract and how you can learn from reading an abstract before you actually read the article itself? This kind of tells me that they're talking about a cross stitch of a sewing room. So now I'm going to click on the PDF full text and see if I'm right. It is. So yeah, this is an article that talks about doing this cross stitch. And this is one of the reasons why we use subject searching, because while this is a sewing room, this is not an article about sewing, if that makes any sense. So this is the kind of thing that should come up when you are doing a keyword search of sewing, but should not necessarily come up when you're doing a subject search of sewing. Does that make sense? Now, one of the things with that is it's only as good as the humans who have added the subjects, and a human added sewing as one of the subjects. But still, I think it still illustrates the importance of subject terms. Ooh, sewing with elastic and a serger. So this is from Sew News, which I happen to know is pretty expensive. One of the things about this database is that a lot of times you can see just the text of the article as HTML if you scroll down. But like I said, one of the reasons I like this database so much is because it shows us the original, which with craft magazines usually has pretty good pictures. So I clicked on PDF full text so that I could see what this looked like when it was first printed. So if you're into sewing or any types of crafts, this database is a really good way to get to reputable information by people who generally know what they're talking about. And again, like I said, because you are an HCC student, you have access to these without paying extra. And now let's look at writing. And now one question I have, and I will show you how to find this information if you're interested, is do we have magazines of like Writer's Digest or Poets and Writers? And I'm going to see, sometimes you can get the answer just by looking at the results you get. When I look at this part of the result, that is the name of the magazine. So sometimes you'll see the magazine you're interested in as you're looking at these results, but sometimes you won't. And so we have a way of looking to see if we have access to specific journals or magazines. So up in the corner, I'm going to look at publications. I'm going to see, let's see. It looks like this particular database does not have ones. Let's see. Okay, so this database doesn't have those magazines, but that doesn't mean that one of our other databases doesn't have it. So let's go back. Now I want to show you the advanced search. And while this exact way really will only work with the EBSCO owned databases, with our other databases, there will be something similar that you can use. So for the advanced search, I'm trying to think of an interesting word. Let's see, writing, let's say memoirs. And hit search. So as I see here, we have memoirs as one of our subjects. So I could actually make this a subject search. We have 13 with memoirs as a keyword. Let's see what we have with memoirs as a subject search. 9. So it can make a slight difference. And another option you have in the advanced search is in many of our databases, you can narrow down what you're looking for even more. That's not as relevant in the hobbies and crafts database, but it can be in other databases like, I don't know if any of you are interested in nursing or medicine, but we have a database called CINAHL, which is a nurses database, and it actually has a way that you can choose articles where at least one of the authors is a nurse. Was there any other hobby or craft you want me to demonstrate searching for? And of course, you are always welcome to do these searches on your own and to just experiment. Like I said, using this database is great, not only because it saves you money on reading about your hobbies, but it also is I find it to be a less stress way to learn how to use our library databases. Be happy to look at any more hobbies anyone wants to look at, but I wanted to show you also some of our other databases so that you're familiar with the other vendors. Another vendor we have is Gale. You can find most of the Gale databases under G for Gale, but they will also be under their other name. So in this case, Academic One File is owned by Gale. Going to click on that. And so this is a different owner. The owner of the databases is called Gale. This specific database is called Academic One File. So, randomly, I'm just going to search for cross stitch. This is not a hobby database, but, more likely any of these books that you see listed, they're probably reviews and not the books themselves, but it's always worth a try. Now, this is interesting. This gives me an unintentional example of why you want to go to specific databases for specific information. This is an article about using a technique in medicine called anchor cross stitch. So if you were doing a general search for cross stitch and you were looking for this specific type of cross stitch, you would be a lot better off going specifically to a medical database than to doing a general search, because you would be just as likely to find other uses of the word cross stitch. So from cross to cross stitch, the ascendancy of the quilt, got a poem here. So as I said way earlier, way back at the beginning of this webinar, Academic OneFile and Academic Complete are very general databases. As you can see from the fact that this search for cross-stitch returned things about fixing patellar and ferropolar fractures with cross-stitch, and it also includes articles about quilting. All of the Gale databases will have similar features to the EBSCO one that we looked at. You have ways that you can get the permanent link. You can download it. When you're in a specific article, let's do the keratoplasty, you can cite it. You can email it to yourself. You can send it to your Google Drive. So it has many of the same features, they're just in different places. You can see related subjects. You can have it read to you. You can change the font sizes. While this is not a PDF, a lot of these will still include some of the pictures and charts from the original in Gale. And if you did not want to click Cite at the top, it also comes down at the bottom on Gale databases. And then one more database vendor that we have is ProQuest. So I'm going to look for a ProQuest database. So you might have one of those assignments where you need to talk about something controversial. SIRS Issues Researcher is really good for that. So I clicked S because I knew where I was going, which, let me give you a plug. If you have trouble figuring out what database you want to use for a topic or for an assignment, get on the chat or come visit a librarian, because we look at these databases all day long and we can know quickly which one we think will work really well for a topic. So I had clicked on S in the A to Z database list, which got me to SIRS Issue Researcher. This one sometimes has issues on campus, so let's see if it works. I'm going to go back one because I had just realized that this has issues on campus. So I'm going to click on the correct link. And so all of our ProQuest databases will have very similar subjects. Right now, ProQuest is very green. So that's how I recognize right away that I'm looking at a ProQuest website. It's because of the green bar across the top. Gale has an even bigger bar that says Gale, and EBSCO is a very plain page with a lot of white. So that's how I tell the three apart. If you're ever doing a controversial issues paper, and you probably will have to do that for one of your English classes, this is a good place to go to get ideas. So let's go to ethics. And I'll click on, say, genetically modified foods. In SIRS, you can also search, but this is a particularly good one for browsing, which is why I'm showing that. And again, it has many of the same features where you can save it, cite it, print it, download it. Now here is where, if you would like, I'd like to see you find an article that's interesting to you and give me the permalink. So that would be the permanent link that you would get from either clicking permanent link over on the side, or looking for the word permanent link. I know this prompt here says find an article or topic page related to your project, but you can also find an interesting article like from the crafts database, and I would love to see that. This also helps me because it helps me know if there are any gaps in how I showed you how to get there. How's it going? Oh, I see one. Yay. All right. Ooh, cool. Yeah, you found a whole ebook. Excellent. While we're here, since you found an ebook, I do want to point out one of the cool things about our ebooks is a lot of them will have this unlimited user access. Those are great. That means everybody can all look at the same time. If you ever are looking at an ebook and it's not letting you, it's just not loading, look at that concurrent user level and it might say only one copy, because if anyone else is looking at one of the ones that has only one copy, it won't let other people in. That's just a little aside that this reminded me of. I'm going to paste the next one in. Art, a field guide. Interesting. Out of curiosity, did you get to this one from the Hobbies and Crafts database, or did you get to it from the Eagle Library search? The Eagle Library search is the search box that's on the very front library page. But at any rate, so this is a description page for one of the books in our library. The books in our library are easier to get to through our catalog link, which I didn't show today because that wasn't really the focus of this particular webinar. But you can find some good information about it. Like, for example, we have a copy of it here at the Codwell site, which is where I am. If you wanted to request this to be brought to your location, you could click over here where it says View Catalog Record to request this item. And you can click Request and put in your HCC username and password to request it to be brought to your location. So you're giving me the chance to show you some other things. And I can tell you did it right because you posted the correct permanent link because I was actually able to open it. One of the things with EBSCO is if you copy the wrong link, the person who receives it will not be able to open it. And if you save it for yourself, you won't be able to open it. Okay, and we have one more person. Are you still looking for an article? Ah, for writing hobby. One thing I will say is if you're in the if you're in the Hobbies and Crafts database looking for writing, you don't need to use the word hobby. That could actually end up limiting it in that particular database. So you might want to try searching for something like writing fiction or writing poems. Depends on what type of writing you're interested in. So we are about ready to wrap this up. Mia, you can keep searching. I just wanted to let you guys know what happens next. So you have fulfilled the requirements for webinar attendance for me to let your professor know that you came to a webinar. So if you put your professor's name or information in when you signed up, I will be organizing my files and letting professors know tomorrow morning that you did attend a webinar. This is one of the things that I was telling you about copying the correct link. Do you have something on your on the page that you're on that says either permalink or share? One of the things that makes this a little bit confusing is that right now we're in the middle of a change in our databases. So some of our databases look one way and some of our databases look another way. And there are some that you can get to both ways. Let's see this one. Yes, very good. Very good. Yeah. This is good because sometimes you will have a professor who will ask you to send a link. So it's always good to make sure it's something that they can actually open. So awesome. You found the permalink. When the databases change how they look, the EBSCO databases, you'll be looking for a button called share. But I have a feeling we'll be doing some database reviews when that change happens. We don't know when that's going to be, sometime in the next few weeks. And thank you so much for joining me today.